It's funny that even though fans have been criticizing what we've seen from the comic book movies at the box office for the last several years, the media has been a little bit behind. And they always, with every single one that comes out, it seems like they have some way to desperately try to spin it as a success. Whether it's Captain America, Brave New World with a sad opening weekend and then a miserable flop. Whether it's Thunderbolts with a horrific opening weekend and then goes on to gross even less than Captain America, Brave New World. Or whether it's like what we saw over the summer, when two movies that had incredibly high expectations have relatively weak opening weekends. One has decent holds like Superman, but crashes internationally, and the other just crashed everywhere with Fantastic Four. And still, the media was desperate to try to tell you, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Then reality sets in when you start looking at some of these numbers, because we don't have a random Deadpool and Wolverine in the middle of the year. We don't have a Spider-Man No Way Home to come out and do big numbers at the box office. Instead, this is the first year since the infancy of the MCU, since 2011, where a comic book movie is not going to eclipse $700 million worldwide. That's how long it's been since that happened, but this is the state of comic book movies, period. 2025 superheroes reach a troubling 14-year box office milestone that has fans worried. And I brought this up randomly in a video when I was talking about some of the summer box office stuff and how a lot of analysts are worried and it didn't do what they expected, all of this stuff. I talked about that, and now all of a sudden you're starting to see reports kind of all over that this is a kind of a big deal. And it's really an indication of where we are. And 3 Marvel flops and 1 DC movie with it, which is, as much as people might want to try to desperately spin it into a massive, huge, monumental success, this is a movie that is barely cracking $600 million that will end somewhere around 615, something like that, with a big budget, a big marketing budget, a movie that does not reach Man of Steel without even factoring in inflation, and a movie that in all likelihood needed to go to digital desperately to try to recoup some of their funds. This is where we are with comic book movies at the box office. And even when you do have some movies that come out that, look, I don't think that Fantastic Four and Superman, I think they're both mid, right? But I don't think that those are as bad as, say, the Marvels or a couple things that have come out from Marvel recently. But the truth is, a lot of people have just rejected the entire notion. They're just done with this stuff. They're tired of it, in part because you put so much stuff out, and in other part because you put so much shit out. If you've been putting out bangers, I don't think people would be quite as tired of connected universe comic book movies as they are now. But this is just the reality. Thunderbolts under 400 million. Captain America Brave New World barely over 400 million. Fantastic Four will creep by the time it's all said and done to over $500 million, so probably somewhere around like $510 million. And Superman will end its run probably around 615, right around that area. 620 it might get to because it's released on digital now. And a lot of people want to crow about this and pretend it's massive. Do you remember a couple years ago when we were talking about the embarrassing disappointment that was Thor Love and Thunder? Thor Love and Thunder is a movie that made $150 million more than Superman with a similar budget. And this movie wasn't even released in China. So you can't even say, well, that's when they were making a bunch of money from China, and that shouldn't really count too much towards the box office. No. Just from places like the UK and Mexico and all these other places out there. That's where those international numbers are coming from. But here we are, and it is a different state of affairs. And they have no one to blame but themselves and the product that they've been putting out, both Marvel and DC. Obviously, a new era for James Gunn's DC universe, and with all the marketing they put behind it, the big splash, everything that they dedicated to this, you had a lot of people in the trades thinking, could it hit $1 billion? It's at least going to be around 800 million, and it gets nowhere close. But that is the victor. Superman's the victor for comic book movies in the literal worst year that we've ever seen for comic book movies in the last decade and a half. Congratulations on being the tallest midget, the smartest retard. That's Superman in the year of comic book flops.